I y'all see the title. Reason why we doing this is because I've been with I actually cut contact with my parents, so it's mostly for myself and not having to deal with drama in the family. But yeah, it's me and my sister though. Me and my sister been talking whenever we have the chance to, because we have that connection more than we do with our family. So yeah, she knows about me going to another country just like all my family does. Us, well, my my immediate family does. I don't, I don't think my my cousins and whatnot knows about it. But yeah, we're gonna be reacting to this shit.
Why millennial and Gen Z are going no contact with their parents. Video by Life with Melanie. Okay, let's go ahead and check this out, man. Yeah, I'm all for this.
Has anyone else noticed that when an adult child chooses to not have a relationship with a parent, it's always, but she's your mom, but he's your
Right.
dad. You only have one dad, you only have one mom. And it's never, wow, what?
So who the fuck cares, bruh? That doesn't mean they are gonna be good for your life, bruh. Be beneficial to your mindset and your well being. That doesn't mean shit, bruh. I mean, yeah, they're your family. You got only one family. They're your blood. But that blood can be drained out and dried up. If you know what I mean, bruh. But yeah.
Could a parent do to cause their child to make this decision? Or it's never,
That's
but they're your
true.
children. How could you treat your children that way?
Yeah.
Why is it that the responsibility of the relationship is placed on the child?
Right.
This is the least.
Yeah, I agree with that 1,000%. I believe that the quality of your relationship with your child is 100% your responsibility. You
Mhm.
form that connection. Now, I'm not talking about how close you are, even though, of course, you play a huge role in influencing that, but you have to understand everybody is different. Maybe they just have a personality where they're not like super, oh, I gotta call you every day. Maybe they're a very kind of loner
Mhm.
person. And so I don't think you should take that
Like I
as
am.
like a slight to yourself if they're just not that kind of a kid that's always calling you and always texting you and all of
Yep.
that. Like I have friends that I feel like I have a great relationship with. The quality of my relationship with them is great, but I might not talk to them for months. Maybe even a year will go by. But when I see them, I am so happy to be around them. When we do talk, it's nothing but like good vibes. You feel me? That's what.
And I'm one of those people who don't really talk too much because I just not really into people like that. It's mostly because of the shit that I had to deal with. But I am comfortable being by myself. I'm a loner. And yeah, I have a couple of close friends that know that I am like this, and they're comfortable with it. That means they have more time to deal with it, what they need to deal with. And when I call them, they answer. And they like to talk, bruh. That doesn't mean when it comes to me not talking to them or ghosting them, that doesn't mean that I don't like you. It's just I am a loner. I am introverted. So understand how people feel, but I'd rather put my be selfish with I'd rather be selfish than overbearing, if you know what I mean. Because me being selfish helps me better myself. And me being selfish helps you focus on what you need to do, basically. If I'm overbearing, you wouldn't be able to focus on what you need to do in your life. So I'd rather you make it, and sometimes I will call you, sometimes you will call me, and I'll answer, than me just calling every fucking hour or every fucking day, bruh. There's no need for that because we got our lives to deal with, right?
What I'm talking about. And whether or not that's how your kids feel about you, I think that's completely up to you. That's completely
Mhm.
down to you.
Favorite part of my job. A patient is asking me to call his son, who he's not spoken to in 10 years, and tell him to come visit him before he dies.
Okay.
Okay. So he said no, he's not going to come. I said that I respect that decision. Asked if he wants me to notify him whenever his dad does die, and he said yes. I have to go in here now and tell the patient that. Okay, I told my patient. Didn't go well. I told him that his son said that he doesn't want to come.
Right.
The patient asked if I told him that he was dying. I said I did. He said you should have told him that he had to come. I said I'm not going to do that. I offered if my patient wants to write his son a letter.
Why does he have to come? Yeah, yeah, it's will be the last time it'll be the last time he will see his parents, but that the parent basically. But that doesn't mean he is wanting to come or should be forced to come because he might regret it, but let him regret it. If he doesn't, then well, that's on him, bruh. Just like some people miss out on certain people that they know, uh, funeral doesn't that doesn't mean that that they don't love them. Sometimes they wanna deal with that loss by themselves, not go to a funeral. Sometimes they wanna deal with that loss by by being around the stuff that that parent gave to them or that person gave to them. Like, he might have a whole collection of what that person gave to him, and, uh, being around that feels more that person feel more closer to that person dying whenever he has his jacket and he puts it on than to go to a fucking funeral.
That I will get it to him, but I said I can't tell you that he'll open it. My patient told me to get out.
Yeah.
I love this patient so much, but it's just not my place to guilt trip someone into coming. I have no idea what this person was like the first 80 years of
Bro, yeah, you gotta think. It's like, as their parent, you have the greatest opportunity to like foster a good relationship with this person. They come out of the
Yup.
womb a blank slate, and they come out of the womb looking at you like a god. You feel me? You gotta fuck up in some
Mhm.
major ways for them to like really turn sour to you. I mean, like, they don't even want nothing to do with you. They don't want to talk to you. Like, yeah, you fucked up.
Life before I met them. As much as it sucks to get yelled at in that way, hopefully I did the right thing.
Now, I don't understand why some parents act so surprised when their kids go no contact, knowing
Right.
damn well you treated that kid like a servant more than you treated them like a child.
Facts.
Yup.
Now, don't get me wrong, there's some amazing parents out there.
For
But
sure.
then there's a select group of parents that traumatize their kids, that never allowed their kids to speak, never created a safe space, and to be honest, you're one of the reasons why your child deals with so many different issues like anxiety because you stressed that kid out. That
Facts.
kid never was allowed to be a kid because you forced them to grow up fast. Now, a lot of parents are going to say, I was young, I tried my best, I did everything I could. That still doesn't mean that you ever had the conversation where you apologize for all the wrongs that you did to your child.
Right.
If you, as a grown adult,
Or you
And even if you apologize, that doesn't mean it's not gonna still affect them, basically. Yeah, it's always good to apologize, but sometimes it's better to just after apology, just accept what's gonna be the outcome to it. Because I'm sorry, but when it comes to trauma, they people like uh, like me rather deal with it alone than be around the people who gave them trauma.
just gotta accept it. Maybe you did do your best, but your best wasn't good enough.
Mhm.
That's
Yup.
tough. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people get divorced after trying their best in the marriage. Didn't work
Mhm.
out.
yo, 40, 50, 60 years old, still can't self-reflect and listen to your child vent about the things that they went through,
Right.
and you're just going to dismiss their feelings, that's why they don't want to talk to
Basically.
your ass no more.
Yeah.
I understand this might make some of you mad, but a lot of these kids don't ask to be here. You sat up there and had that
Actually, all of them, none of them asked to be here.
child. You sat up there and brought that child into this world. Now, if you did it in an irresponsible way and or you had a child before you was ready, are you going to put that onto the kid? Or are you going to take responsibility for your actions?
Right.
At the end of the day, a lot of kids would love to love their parents and have that relationship. But a lot of adults act like fucking kids.
So there are more and more millennials and Gen Zs who are making the difficult decision of going no contact with their parents. So traditionally, the family is viewed as that sacred union, and no matter what happens and no matter the circumstance, you should never cut ties with your family. But in recent years, people are moving away from that, where they value trust, commitment, self-care, good mental health.
I gotta be honest, man. I'm real fortunate though. I don't have not a single family member that wants a relationship with me that I don't like. You know what I'm saying? Like, I listen to a lot of these stories and it's like, damn, that's tough. But as a principle in life in general,
I got a racist side of in my family. I don't talk to them, bruh. Because with me being mixed, having a white and black family, mostly the white people on my side of the family, the white side of the family, they can be racist as shit. And unfortunately, not all my family members are into their cousins being, or the nephews being, or their nieces being, mixed with black. I hate to say it, but sometimes that's just the case.
I do not believe that anybody should ever do something they don't want to do. If you don't want to do it, then you shouldn't do it. You feel me? Now, there's some things that you have to do so that you can do what you want to do. And sometimes we don't want to do those things we have to do, but you understand to get to what you want to do, you got to do what you got to do. But I think that applies to everything. And so if there is somebody that you do not want to speak to, I don't believe that you should feel obligated to speak to them.
I was talking about the fact that when people go no contact with their family members, specifically they were talking about parents, it's not because of something that happened to them when they were 11, it's because of repeated continues of patterns of behavior from their parents. And that resonated with me really hard because I had an abusive childhood and I'm no contact with a lot of my family. And a lot of them walk around and make it seem like I'm just bitter and miserable for things that happened in my childhood that happened 20, 30 years ago. And that couldn't be any further from the case. Yes, those things happen. They had lasting impacts on me and I was mad about them for quite some time. I'm not gonna lie about that. But I spoke to most of my family well into my 20s, so it was not something that was happening to me when I was 15. Rather, every single body that I cut off, I cut them off because I had a eureka moment after an active engagement with them. Like, when I say that, I mean like I'm actively engaging in conflict or conflict resolution with them, and I had a eureka moment where I realized this person is never going to change. Nothing is ever going to be different with this person. Who they were when I was 11 years old and who they are now is the same person. And while they cannot manhandle me,
And that's how usually shit becomes, like with my past. I figured out that these people ain't going to change. And what I did was just cut them off. Just like with her. I found that eureka moment. People are people. People are stubborn. And whenever people are stubborn, it's and that's gonna and if that's gonna affect your well-being, it's better to cut them off, bruh. Just let them be how they wanna be, bruh. Mm, has to be how it is.
the same way, because I'm no longer a child, if I'm going to have a relationship with this person, I have to be willing to subject myself to constant disrespect and being manhandled. And I decided that I didn't want a relationship with them that bad. It makes them feel better to tell themselves it's because I'm bitter and I'm holding on to the past, but they are the same exact person
Let them think how they want to think, basically. That's on them.
when I was 11 years old that they are today. They have not changed. They're not going to change. And that was the realization that I had to come to. It's not what happened to me at 15. It's what happened to me at 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. For all the years that I'm in contact with you, I keep having the same experience.
Right.
And it was my own mother who taught me that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different response. At some point, it is insane to continue engaging with these people and expect anything different from them.
Hi, I'm Dawn. I'm an estranged.
Look, you gotta. Why I don't like talking to you? You know what I'm saying? You gotta ask yourself that. Why do I'm supposed to love you? Why do I not like talking to you? I got all these other people in my life, friends, other family members, co-workers, classmates. And when I talk to them, there is not this like pit that develops in my stomach. There is not this like hurt that, you know, or this anger or this annoyance that I start to feel. So what is that?
Hi, I'm Dawn. I'm an estranged mom, and I just say it like I see it.
So I've been no contact with my mother for 8 years, and this woman reminds me a lot of her. Go back and watch her original video. I will tag her so you can watch it, but the whole video is just her not taking accountability for anything she's done. Kids do not cut off their parents completely for small things.
Right.
They don't cut off their parents for things that have only happened once or twice. A lot of people cut off their parents because they think there's no hope for them to change. And because that
Exactly.
parent is
It's an
never willing to
ongoing
take accountability for what they've
It's an ongoing thing.
done. This woman avoids accountability at all costs. First, she says that she treated, I guess, her daughter-in-law and son like garbage during her daughter-in-law's pregnancy because she had a brain injury. And she just had zero control over everything she did at that point. Then she mentions how her therapist says that her ex-husband and her daughter-in-law were kind of the problem. At least that's what it insinuates. Then she talks about her last kid that went no contact with her and how essentially they were influenced by their other siblings.
That's not
how she
even a
makes
thing, bro. That's not even a thing. You can't influence me. My brother, my sister, you can't influence me to turn on a parent that I love. Nobody can influence me to turn on somebody that I like or that I love. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not possible. If all of my interactions with this person are good, or at least the relationship feels healthy and good and positive, you know what I'm saying? Whatever y'all got going on, that's unfortunate, but that's not gonna make me. If anything, you coming and talking shit about a parent, a relative, a friend, whatever, I'm gonna try and see if I can like figure this shit out, like figure out where is the miscommunication, because I feel like you're a good person. I feel like you're a good person, so some must be mismatched here. What's going on?
it seem. And then she says, oh, but I've apologized, and I'm not exactly sure what she's apologized for, because the entire video is her not taking accountability for anything. She also mentions that her kids believe that she's going on a smear campaign by talking about this stuff. And I can relate. My mom would complain about me to anybody who had an ear open.
This is disgusting, though. This is disgusting. Getting on the internet and complaining and whining about your family. I don't care if you're the child or the parent, though. I mean, I appreciate it because it gives us the opportunity to have this conversation. And some people don't know better. Some people don't have anybody they can talk to, which is pretty sad. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who are introduced to this concept by watching videos like this. Like their eyes are open for the first time that that's an option. Once you're an adult and you're living on your own, like you don't have to keep talking to anybody. Not to be too critical of these people, but still, I feel like it's just kind of gross to get on the internet and whine about people in your personal life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's mostly why whenever I have to deal with shit, I don't put on the social platforms because it ain't none of your business, bruh. It ain't none of your business. It's I might talk about it, but I ain't gonna videotape it and put that shit online. Why? Y'all don't need that side of me, bruh. Y'all don't need that type of bullshit. This is why I don't like people who do this shit because you letting a lot of people into your business that don't need to be in your business. This is why I'm thankful that I have family and friends that are black because they will tell you that if they ain't a part of your shit, they don't need to be a part of your shit.
Listen. And she would talk exactly like this woman is talking. So many excuses, so many excuses, and never taking accountability.
Forgot that I was on pause. My bad. So we're gonna go back.
You're living on your own, like you don't have to keep talking to anybody. Not to be too critical of these people, but still, I feel like it's just kind of gross to get on the internet and whine about people in your personal life. You know what I'm saying?
Listen. And she would talk exactly like this woman is talking. So many excuses, so many excuses, and never taking accountability. At some point, you have to figure out what is more important to you, either your pride and ego or your relationship with your kids. It's so unfortunate to see so many parents on this app not getting it. I remember coming across this video and it was like, what is one thing that you wish your parents did? And I'm not kidding you, like 95% of the comments was, I wish my parents would admit when they were wrong.
Damn. That's crazy, man. That's
A lot of parents are like this. They think they are perfect and they're really not. They're human and humans aren't perfect.
crazy.
I wish my parents would take accountability. And there's a big
Even God ain't perfect. He said he was, but look what he did. He fucking burnt a whole, flooded a whole country. He burnt, destroyed, is acting like the devil. But yet he doesn't want to think he's the devil.
reason as to why that is.
These are the things that I didn't expect when I went no contact with my mom. I have been no contact with my mom on and off for the past 10 years, but I would say it's been pretty consistent for the last 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
And when I say no contact, I mean no contact. I don't have her phone number. I don't have her address.
Crazy.
She met my son, but only once when he was 2 years old, and now he's about to be 7 years old this year. And she's never met my daughter, and she has not met my fiance. And the one thing that I did not expect when I went no contact with her was the amount of people in my life that would meet me for the very first time, find out that I'm no contact with my mom, and then ask me to mend the relationship. They would just automatically assume that that was my first course of action, and I did nothing to try to make the relationship between me and my mom work before I cut her off. And what I need for people to realize is that is the result of trying to make the relationship work. The no contact is the end of something. It's not the beginning of something. Typically, adult children that have gone no contact with their parents, that wasn't their first plan of action. They tried for probably many years to make the relationship with their mom or dad work. I know for me personally, there were years where my mom didn't take accountability. It wasn't just one conversation. True healing between two people cannot happen if only one person is acknowledging the trauma. And then even once the trauma is acknowledged.
Yeah, man, this is sad, bro. This is sad. That must be such a burden to be carrying some shit. You feel me, for the rest of your life. That's crazy.
Knowledge, there needs to be a change in behavior. And it drives me absolutely insane when people just think, oh, you took the easy way out by just cutting her off. That was not the easy part. That was a very difficult decision. And it's a decision that I personally do not regret, because I know everything that took place, and I know that I'd made the best decision for myself. And as a result of not having contact with me, she also does not have contact with my children. And I've said this in a video before, but children, no matter what the age, do not owe their parents anything, and that includes contact with their grandchildren. Parenting is a one-way street. It always has been that way. It is a job that you do not get thanked for, because your children did not ask to be here. You did not have to have them.
I blocked my parents even though they paid for some of my college and gave me a car because of this reason.
I mean, if you have a pedo in your family, right? And they touch you in your past that you didn't want to be touched, what do you think gonna happen? They gonna stay at a distance. They're gonna keep you at a distance, of very far distance. And when they have children, they gonna keep their children from you because of what you did in your past. Even if you apologize, they will want their kids safe. So this goes hand in hand with this type of situation. If they feel that they ain't gonna be good for their kids, they are not gonna let you deal with them or be around them.
Growing up, both of them had uncontrollable anger issues and absolutely no concept of boundaries. It was violent, emotionally abusive, verbally, physically. You get the picture. My mom would make some serious threats over my grades. And she would
That's
tell me like my
crazy,
friends would
bro.
all realize how bad and stupid I am one day and leave me. When I got married, she claimed that my husband would abuse me.
You're applying for tech jobs and every listing says SQL required. Want to accelerate your technology career? SQL is the #1 skill for anyone.
And realize that I was a burden and leave me. Like throughout
That's
my life, she
insane,
tried
bro.
to drive a wedge.
Bro, people who say just anything to tear down your child, if you say things to tear down your child's sense of self-worth, self-esteem, their image, yeah, if they cut you off, you deserve that shit, bro. That is evil and wicked. I really believe that, bro. Like, to call your child anything negative, to me, that's like the pinnacle of emotional abuse, because what a person believes about themselves is the most important thing in regards to shaping the outcomes in their lives. And nobody has a greater influence over shaping your self-image than your parents.
Throughout my life, she tried to drive a wedge between me and anyone that I cared about. I mean, I was just so tired of my parents constantly criticizing every decision I ever made and denying the abuse just because it happened so long ago. Every time I bring up just the physical abuse, they're like, why are you living in the past? It happened so long ago. I just couldn't pretend anymore that everything was normal, because every time I look at them, all I can think and remember is who they really are. I was afraid to cut contact with them because I was still on their phone contract for some reason. I should have switched that earlier. And my brother still had to be on their insurance. And they still needed to finish signing the car title transfer papers for the car that I've been driving for years. Side note, yes, I'm privileged and I'm extremely grateful for everything I do have. I never asked, begged, or demanded anything from my parents. So despite all these strings attached, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna figure it out. We'll see what happens.
I mean, Diddy bought Cassie mad shit too. You feel me? Just because somebody buys you things and gives you things does not now undo all of the fucked up shit that they're doing to you in the relationship.
Yep.
So
And that doesn't mean that they're gonna stay with you, basically. Because he wanna stay with a motherfucker who think they can do whatever the fuck they want with you. Right?
I cut my dad off like a couple weeks ago. So growing up, like, my parents are married. I had a very normal childhood. If anything, I was like a huge daddy's girl. I loved my dad. Like, I was obsessed with him, like definitely put him on a very, very high pedestal. And I recognized that a lot of my friends and people that I went to school with at the time, people around me, they didn't really have, you know, active fathers in their lives, or their parents were divorced, so they just didn't really like see their dads as much. So I felt very lucky in the sense of like having a father that was, you know, physically present and there, and like I was, you know, able to touch him, and like he was there. At the same time though, and I think now I can see it as like generational trauma, but at the same time, like I'm almost positive that my dad, even though like he's a good guy, he tried as hard as he could be to be the best father when we were a kid, and I feel like he just kind of gave that up as me and my brother were getting older. And also growing up, like, and I just kind of realized this, not realize it now, but more so like I'm just like looking back and like reflecting and seeing that it was like just these thoughts are becoming more prevalent. My parents definitely played into that very traditional man of the house role. My mom was always saying like, you need to make sure like the dishes are clean, you need to make sure the house is clean, like, you know, like a man's never gonna marry you if you like don't, you know, like all those like really toxic gender roles. My parents definitely played into them, and it makes sense, like they are of like that generation.
That's their generation, no doubt.
So like they're like born in the 60s, like obviously like they're going to kind of like play into those like traditional roles, but like the thing is I'm not that type of bitch. I'm just literally not. Like I don't get it. Never understood it when I was a kid, never understood why my mom like would do stuff like this. But also it's just like my dad, you know, when I was getting older, like sure, he did help around the house and stuff like that. I'm sure it was like equal for them at some point, but it's like obviously my mom was always doing more. My mom always signed my permission slips. My mom always, you know, took me to and from like any kind of like cheer practices or soccer practices, or like,
I mean, I'm still waiting on the fucked up part though. I'll be real with you. Yeah, your dad was from a different generation. He wasn't perfect. Okay, fair enough. And I think it's valid what she said, that from her perspective, as they got older, it just felt like their dad stopped trying. All right, but still, like, what are we talking about here? Let's listen some more.
Gymnastics or anything that I had to do. I remember one time, like, I was supposed to go to this dance class, and my dad was supposed to drop me off, and once he got there, you know, it was like, I think it was like $30 for me to like attend that day, and he didn't want to pay for it, so we left. Like, okay. There would be times where we'd go to the grocery store.
Well, I would imagine he didn't want to pay for it because he didn't have the bread.
Yeah.
Like, did you consider that? Right? Okay, this is sounding a little crazy now.
From idea to submission, empower students to do their...
Have to believe that if he was the kind of guy that you said he was when you were a kid, the only reason he wouldn't want to pay that $30 fee was because bread was tight, and parents typically don't explain to their children when money is tight. You know what I'm saying? I actually think it would have been nice if he had communicated something to you, though. I will give you that, because as a kid, you know what I'm saying, you're used to your routine. You're going here, you have this expectation, you're excited, you're all dressed out, and then you show up, and if his attitude is like, I ain't paying for this shit, like, this ain't worth $30, then that's foul. But then again, maybe he was embarrassed, and so maybe he felt like the only thing he could do in that moment is act that way. But then again, he could have just said, oh shit, I didn't realize I would need to pay. I left my wallet at home. He could have lied, you feel me? If he wanted to save face. All right, let's listen some more.
Store, and my mom would maybe be taking a little bit too long in there, so he would just leave. Like, he would just leave my mom at the grocery store. Whoa. Like, sometimes I'd be with her, so like he would just leave us at the grocery store. He'd come back around and pick us up, but it's like, what the like, why would you do that? And it was always like,
I mean, he come back around to pick you up. What do you mean? Maybe he went and got some food. Maybe he went to a drive-thru. Maybe he went to the gas station. You know what I'm saying? Like what are we talking? Were you standing outside the grocery store for like an hour, or was it like 5-10 minutes?
like, growing up, when going into like man of the house kind of things, it's just always what my dad wanted to do. It was always what he wanted to watch on TV. It was always what he wanted to eat. It was always what he wanted to do, where he wanted to go. Not talking about like, you know, like when we take family trips to like Disneyland and stuff like that, but it's just like, it was always his choice. Like, fuck whatever my mom would suggest, fuck whatever we would suggest. It was always his choice. So growing up, I understood that, like, maybe because you're the man of the house, like, you're the breadwinner, like, totally understand you doing all this. But like,
I don't agree with that approach. Definitely. I can't wait for my kids to, I mean, shit, my kids will tell me they want pizza. And if it's, you know, an appropriate occasion, then we'll get pizza. Like, all of this belongs to all of us, right? But I really do think, based off of at least what I'm hearing, though, she should be able to recognize that this is more of a cultural thing, that he's probably behaving in a way that aligns with what was normal when he was growing up, maybe even what he saw his mom and dad do. I feel like a situation like that, you should be able to step back and say, I don't want that for me in my relationship, but I respect it, I understand it for what it was. You know what I'm saying?
After like 2018, my dad started becoming like really, you know, sick, like on and off. He ended up having a stroke in 2022. So he was out of work, and it was still like that, where even when I was still living at the house, like, it would be like, oh, well, we're still gonna do what he wants to do. And like, as a kid, I understood that, because like, okay, you're the breadwinner, you're the man of the house, like, totally get that. But then like, when you're getting older, he wasn't doing anything around the house. He was not helping anybody. He was, if anything, just like making our lives a little bit harder. It's like, we would have to come home and clean the house after he just made it dirty from not doing anything all day, and he wouldn't feel bad about it at all. Like, he just kind of expected that you would come home and, you know, everything's all clean, because he's not gonna do it. So like, my mom's not the type of person to like see something dirty and be like, oh, I'm gonna let that person clean it up. She needs to like have a really clean place. It's just how she's always been. And so like, when it got to the point of like getting older, and it was still my mom kind of conforming to like anything that he would do, even though he wasn't doing shit, like he wasn't the breadwinner anymore, I started to like wake up and be like, oh hell no, oh hell no. My issues with my dad started like I think probably like my early 20s, like 22-ish, I started like having big issues with him. And like I was still there for him when he got sick. Like I was taking care of him when he had a stroke, took him to his doctor's appointment. I did a lot for him because obviously he's my father. I put my personal feelings aside for how I felt because like obviously I don't want anything bad to happen to my dad. But he wasn't helping himself. You know, even after he had his stroke, the doctors told him you can't drink alcohol, can't smoke. He went back to doing all of those things. And he was still complaining that he was like getting sick, not getting better. He wouldn't listen to my mom when it was time to take pills and all these things. You're not a kid. You're a father. You're a husband. You're an adult, grown-ass man. This is also just like a random spurt. I kind of forgot too. I also promised myself.
All right, the drinking, the smoking, the not taking your medicine. Okay, all right. Now I'm starting to hear things that reflect the character of a overgrown man-child. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you're literally acting like an infant. You should be embarrassed of yourself if that's truly how he was
Even when I go to my sister's house, whenever I see stuff that is dirty, it's my instinct to clean. I don't wanna put their business out there, but sometimes when I usually go there and visit her. Hold up. Hey, babe, you okay? My bad for that. My girl called me, so
conducting himself, you know what I'm saying, like a big old baby, then she. But it'd be one thing if you lost respect for him, but to go no contact, to me, I feel like going no contact makes sense if every time you communicate with a person, that person makes you feel bad about yourself. You know what I mean? That person brings you down. That person is gaslighting you, trying to just make you feel like shit. That's the kind of relationship. But if you just lose respect for a person, it's still your dad. You know what I mean? It's still family. So you don't have to like completely cut them off altogether.
When people hear the words print on demand, they picture a graphic slapped onto a basic tee. But that's not necessarily how you build a brand that people will keep coming back.
But okay.
That I wasn't going to travel with my father anymore after we all took a family trip to Cambodia because he was insufferable on that trip, like truly insufferable, and thought the world revolved around him.
Fair.
So I told him and I told my family, I was
again, though, if this is what she wants, I'm just saying sometimes people, they feel like they need to justify shit. You know what I mean? They pull things and they make it deeper than it is. You could just, for whatever reason, not want to fuck with a person, bro. You can just, I don't even really want to talk to you. I can't even put my finger on it exactly. I don't like you as a person. And that person can be your family member. You know what I mean? So, okay. Yeah, you don't got to justify shit. If you don't want to talk to somebody, you just don't talk to them.
Never take a family trip with him again. Just saying. Anyways, it got to the point where he would start to isolate himself every single day from our family. Like he would spend every single day in our, downstairs TV room for hours. And it was like to the point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. So obviously I moved out. I moved to LA.
Wait, hold on. So you have a problem with him because he's insufferable. Then he isolates himself so that he's not bothering anybody. You got a problem with that? Okay, all right. This is not sounding. This story sound a little, I don't know. Sound a little off.
And I just would still have to deal with like having to hear about this, and I just couldn't take it. And recently when I was home this past summer for about a month or so. There was some things that, like health things that happened, and I came back home, he was still kind of doing the same thing, still kind of treating my mom the same way. And I just couldn't take it anymore. So I wrote him, a note just saying, hey, like, I cannot have you in my life right now. For my mental health, like, it's really just, it bothers me. It makes me think of, like, every single day of just, like, everything I've gone through in my childhood and, like, how he's still not listening. We've had to preach millions of times, like, we just want you to get better. We don't want you to drink anymore. You're hurting us as a family. And he just doesn't care. And I can't personally put myself through that pain anymore.
Okay.
I know I am
yes, but so if he's still drinking, he has a drinking problem, he's an alcoholic, then okay. Maybe she's just not that good at communicating the story, which happens. But all right, we'll move on. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt, especially if he's an alcoholic. Yeah, alcoholics, they're problematic, truly.
Yeah. My early 20s. But I can't have that energy in my life anymore because it's killing me. And I deserve to live a happy and fun, full life with people that love and support me and give me the same effort that I give them. And so do you.
Yeah, man. So I got my kids, and my approach is just, I'm conscious of that. I believe that it is up to me to determine the quality of my relationship with my children. And I'm just very careful to not take their love for me when they're small for granted. For instance, my children, they follow me around like my shadow, bro. Like, when I'm in my office, this is the only time I'm really ever by myself, because as soon as they hear that office door open, daddy, daddy, dad, and then they're just like moons just running around me, bro. And of course, I love that and I appreciate that. But of course, sometimes that can be annoying. But I am careful to never shoo my children away. I'm careful to never express annoyance with them.
Yeah, just like with me and my nephew and my niece. When I come over, they love messing with me. They love it. So sometimes I'm like, I need to. Sometimes I need to do some stuff, and I'd be like, "Hey, nephew. Hey, hey, niece. I'm gonna need a minute. So can y'all just play with yourselves a little so I can do this real quick? I'll come back and play with y'all later on." Basically.
Like, or if I'm feeling a little bit annoyed, like they're like, daddy, 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 I might look at them like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck you want? Type of look, like, and then they'll say whatever they say.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform.
Verbally, to leave me alone when they're little and they love you unconditionally and they are obsessed with you, then don't complain when they leave you alone when they're older. You feel me? That's how I look at it. I also really believe in respecting your children as individuals. They are not servants. They are not your little mini clones that you get to boss around and just like talk to any type of way and just expect that they have to do what you want them to do and what you tell them to do. Of course, when they're very small, there are things where they have to do for their own good. You got to brush your teeth. You know what I'm saying? There are certain little things. We got to do your hair before we go out on the street. I'm not about to have you outside looking like a fucking crazy person. You know what I mean? So yeah, there are little things you got to do. But the fact that I can already see in my 3-year-old daughter, I can already see her processing things. I can already see her, like I already see her consciousness as an individual person shining through as a 3-year-old. I know for a fact that when a kid is like 8, 9, 12, 14, and you speak to them as if they're not even a person, like they just gotta, just whatever you says goes and like their opinion doesn't matter. Yeah, you're asking for them to fucking wash their hands of you as soon as they get older, because that ain't right, man. But y'all let me know what you think about this video in the comment section down below, man. Thank you for watching, and until next time, peace out.
Same with me. Thanks for watching. Go into that comment section and tell me what how y'all feel about the video. Hey, yeah, Death is out.